will shout with joy, and Israel will rejoice. The fool, only fools say in their heart, there is no God. I want to just preach about today for this subject, don't be no fool. Don't be no fool. How could they put it out? How in the world could they do that? These were God's chosen people. They had witnessed the very power of God because God had miraculously brought them out of captivity into the promised land. They had witnessed the power of God. They had experienced the very presence of God. It was at the Mount of Sinai that God literally is going to set a mountain on fire with Moses in order to confirm his presence to the children of Israel. They were the recipients of the very promises of God. God said, I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to put you into a land that was flowing with milk and honey. And he brought them out of Egypt, took them into the promised land, and they are living in houses that they didn't have to build. They are able to work from field that they didn't even have to plant. They are living in cities they didn't have to establish. They are drinking from wells that they didn't have to dig. And yet, in the midst of all of that, you have atheists among them. How could they do it? According to GotQuestions.org, and that's a good site, a website, to find out some more articles on atheism. But atheism is the view that God does not exist. And here's the sad thing, y'all. It is not just a new view. No, in 1000 BC with David, they were already atheists that were around. People that were denying the very existence of God. And David did not hold any punches. David called a spade. And he said, only fools say in their heart that there is no God. Here's the sad reality, Brown, is increasing. It's increasing. More and more, even in America, we were once known as a Christian nation, and yet the number of people claiming to be Christians are down, and the number of people that are claiming to be atheists are going up. Even people are starting to say, well, we are none. We have no religious affiliation at all. How in the world could even in America we got even on our money in God we trust? Yet we have people rising up, doubting the very existence of God. And so that's what I want to have on this morning, Brown, that since faith in God establishes our foundation and ensures our future, don't be no fool. Believe in God. Let me say that one more time. Let me say it so that the Bible can hear me up there. Since faith in God establishes our foundation. If you want something solid that you can stand on, if you want something solid that you can build your hope on, since faith ensures our future, y'all don't be no fool, but believe in God. One of the challenges that are facing all of us right now is how in the world can we live out our faith when there are so many others around us that don't believe like we believe. I appreciate Dr. Stanley May. I asked him, I told him I'm preaching an apologetic sermon this morning, and I wanted him to summarize something. So in the app, if you go to our home page, there is a How Do I Witness. He has summarized a book from Dr. Jeff Bronner on how to share Jesus, even with others that don't believe like I believe. And so this is a wonderful resource. Go into the app, and it's going to give us some simple steps, because I believe that as men and women of God, we ought to be sharing our faith. We ought to be telling others about the fact that we are Christian, what we believe, and why we believe it. Ain't that something? Ain't it something? And hands, I don't know. They're putting it out, you know, that's all it is. and yet let them have a certain color on. Let them have some styles on them, man. And y'all act like y'all are the best. We have no problem working on high five, and yet when it comes to sharing our faith, well, we want to get quiet about that. And yet the Bible is going to remind us in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15 that we ought to always be ready to give an answer of the hope that is in us. At the end of the day, y'all, we are the ones who have the hope for America, and we ought to be ready to share our faith. And so today, I want us to look at ourselves. I want us to look at ourselves. I want us to really examine ourselves. Not only is it so important that we first of all ground your faith. Ground your faith. I call this the heart issue. And in verse 1 again, only fools say in their heart, there is no God. They are corrupt and their actions are evil. Not one of them does good. Have you ever thought about it? Why is it that we are seeing such a falling away